What up, YouTube? It's the Daily Space Weather. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. We're going to start out with this beautiful imagery here from the SDO, 304 plus 211 angstroms, to see a filamentary eruption. It has produced a CME, coronal mass ejection, and it is headed toward Earth. So some preliminary reports here. We've got some data to show you toward the end of the video to show that it is indeed earthly directed. It was accompanied by a flare over here off the southeastern limb, almost at the exact identical time there. Once again, you see this filament. There it is. And now it's headed right toward you. The radial flux now at 104 solar flux units. We can expect this to rise throughout the day today as we've got the growth of sunspots. So as far as the earthly magnetohydrodynamic pressure, it's pretty low pressure environment here around planet Earth. And NOAA forecasting very low pressure for the coming days. Although in about 3 days we can expect to see a coronal mass ejection strike. So don't worry, folks, it's not going to end all civilization or anything like that. That's kind of very, very unlikely. It's just not happening. But that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Again, the last 4 hours. And we can expect quite calm conditions until we see a coronal mass ejection strike. So it should produce a great signal. The space in between Earth and Sun is fairly empty right now following a long duration high-speed coronal hole wind stream. And let's move on to the KP index, which has been at only 1 here for the past 12 hours. That's a measurement of global geomagnetism. And looking at the real-time solar wind, the solar wind's now dropped below 400 kilometers per second. It's quite diffuse as well at only 3.64 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind velocity, 390 kilometers per second. Here's your GOES magnetometer readings over the past 3 days. Nothing too exciting to talk about there, except they are indeed a bit smoother here as we forecasted. Next, we'll look at the heliospheric current sheet. Earth remains in a South Pole current sheet. There is a North Pole current sheet headed this way. It's just arriving at stereo A as we make the video. So there's the last image. Stereo A will be in a North Pole current sheet pretty soon. North Pole current sheet shown in green, South in red. There's the line of sight view. Again, new sunspots. Sunspot number going to rise, as well as the radial flux going to rise today. Maybe some new active regions also rising in the southeast. And before we get to coronal holes, let's talk about cosmic rays. Now, all stars are cosmic ray emitters to some capacity. These cosmic rays are primarily not from the sun. They are from, well, unknown locations, most of them. We only know about one really likely cosmic ray point source. It's known as Deneb Cygnus X3, the most intrinsically bright object visible from Earth. But in any case, these are the cosmic rays as measured at Apatity and Barentsburg. So if you look at the 30-day charts there, you can see a downtick, a significant downtick at Apatity, and a significant downtick at Barentsburg over the past 30 days. Let's go much farther south to Athens, Greece. There's Athens, Greece. And we see an uptick at Athens, Greece over the past 30 days, so I find that quite interesting. What about you? Next, Mexico City. A less significant downtick at Mexico City, but indeed a downtick. And let's go back up north to Oulu. Now, Oulu looks just like Apatity and Barentsburg's graph, making that corroborated data. Now let's go as far south as we can get. Significant downtick there at DOMB and DOMC Antarctica. So a decrease in cosmic ray flux certainly, every place but Greece. And as I said, all stars are cosmic ray emitters. So all of these areas where you see these red and green portions, there are cosmic rays coming out of those portions of the sun. Those are high-speed proton streams, cosmic rays primarily consisting of hydrogen nuclei, helium nuclei, some electrons. It's over 90%, about 90% hydrogen nuclei. That is ionized hydrogen flying through space at, indeed, sometimes relativistic speeds. And we're watching the solar polar field reversal process happen here. So this is the South Pole migrating to the north and vice versa. You can see those green fields way down south as the North Pole is on its way to its new home at the South Pole of the closest star. Here's a visual of it in 193 angstroms. And these are coronal holes over here. Those are South Pole-oriented coronal holes. Next, we'll move on to sunspots. And we've got 4 named groups at the moment. There is some magnetic complexity, especially with these two. This one here and this one here. That's 3026 and 3027. How about a visual of that? There's 1700 angstroms. 1700 angstroms from the SDO. These sunspots here are alpha class sunspots. They are less likely to produce major flares. Here's a little closer image for you. And see the evolution of those sunspots or stability. When it comes to the alpha class sunspots, they've been stable. When it comes to the beta gamma class sunspots, which are 3026 and 3027, they are a lot less stable and a lot more likely to produce solar flares. Thanks to our new follower over on Twitch, twitch.tv/smashamash. We stream regularly live over there. Consider becoming a member of the Smash Team if you'd like to support the content. And if you're not seeing all of our videos in your feed, just head to smashamash.com/smashteam and click posts. You'll find our major releases all there. You can also find a link to the Smasho merch. And today's featured product is the Galactic Federation Special Forces Universum Liberate. The key represents signal strength and security. The lightning bolt represents instantaneous galactic scale reach, and the spiral represents the galaxy, and the shield represents the forces. It's the Galactic Federation Special Forces. Are you sick of what's going on Earth? Are you noticing a blatant lack of freedom and liberty at the moment? Well, we say Universum Liberate in response to that, which means, well, it literally means free everybody. So that might be too controversial for you. If not, don't pick up the merch. If it's just the right controversy level, then pick up the merch and proclaim the motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. You can find links on the homepage as well to that. Links to the Smash Team at smashamash.com. We haven't forgotten about our paper. We are writing a paper explaining plausibly, that is, the mechanism underlying the solar sunspot and solar polar field reversal cycles. So support us. Hit us up on social media. Lots of exciting stuff going on at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name and News. We may have to shut down for a couple days. We'll let you know about that after we start back up. But in any case, you can find our music. The track we played on this particular video at the beginning is not available, but there are 6 tracks. This is on Amazon Music. We just did a search here for Golden Cat Productions. Golden Cat Productions, it's our record label. There are 6 tracks you can buy on Amazon Music. You can also find us on Spotify and all over various other music sharing sites. That record label started in around the year 2000. Let's get back to the weather in space. Are you spaced out? Well, we certainly hope you are, and thanks for being spaced out. So the largest solar flare of the past 24 hours just happened. It was sort of a long-duration solar flare, and it was associated with a coronal mass ejection that's produced some ejecta that's headed toward Earth. Here's some great imagery here. It's some composite imagery in 131 and 1600 angstroms. And that C-class flare indeed came from over here around the limb. It certainly looks like it. And it was at the exact same time as this filament erupted. So I find that interesting. Next we'll bring up a star chart. We're going to get to the details on the coronal mass ejection, which is earthly directed, in a moment. First, what's going on above my head looks like this. That's our star chart from in-the-sky.org. As the planetary pileup continues, you can see Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury all rising ahead of the Sun if you've got a clear horizon. Next, a solar system forecast. Here's where things will be in a week. Keep in mind, this is not to scale. Planets are very, very far apart, and the planets are still not going to kill you. So here's our coronagraph. You can see on the LASCO C2. I think there is an earthly directed component to this. So, also it looks like there are two separate events kind of happening at the same time. This one you're seeing over here on the west may be from the far side of the Sun, but I wouldn't count on it. I believe there is some ejecta headed right toward your doorstep. So let's take a look at some more in-depth video here. We'll look at Lagrange 5 and Lagrange 1, the locations of the stereo A coronagraph over here on the left, and the SOHO LASCO C3 over here on the right. And the point is, we see ejecta on both sides of the obscurement disk here on the SOHO LASCO C3, an indication that it is likely earthly directed. So from the perspective of stereo A, Earth would be off in this direction. So there you have it. We can expect a CME strike in about 3 days. Maybe a little longer than that, 3.5 days, something like that. I'll say on the 5th, around midday universal time, is when we can expect to see that arrive. There should be lots of analysis over the internet and lots of fear-mongering and people freaking out over something that'll produce little more than some aurorae. But in any case, we'll close out here with the house favorite, 171 angstroms view. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And may that solar wind be at your back.